All right, I think we're live. What's up, everybody? We are Far Side of the Pod. I will say, warning before we get into this review, I will say there be plenty of spoilers in this, so if you don't want to know what happens in this movie, then this is your warning to get out and go because we're going to be talking about the whole movie post-credit scene and probably what we believe will be the future in this movie. So, um, either way, like I said, we're going to have some biased things to say about this movie. We might say some things that'll piss somebody off, but we don't care. This is our podcast. So, for that being said, like I said, we are Far Side of the Pod, and I'm Jordan, and we got Ridge. And it's only the two of us today because we are the only two that have seen this movie. But, as per se, so again, if you couldn't read the title, today we are officially doing our review for Fantastic Four First Steps. Now, Ridge, I'll go ahead and let you tell your thoughts on this movie. Just your quick thoughts. Then we'll get down to the deep run.
Yeah, so just overall thoughts. This was a fantastic movie, pun totally intended. Just overall, everything down from the fighting scenes to the way these characters looked, the story behind it all of it in total was a great Fantastic movie. It's a Fantastic Four movie. This is the Fantastic Four movie that we've been waiting for
Yeah.
as fans.
I think I would totally have to agree with you. I mean, everything from the story. The story was so well complex, and like there was layers to each of the characters, and you know we got to get a good piece of each character, and like know them, and I couldn't honestly after watching the movie I couldn't think of a better cast. I think they killed it. The cast is phenomenal. I think like I said, the story was awesome. The graphics are great. The fighting's great. Overall, this movie was just like you said, and fun, completely intended. It's fantastic. That's literally every time I think about this movie, that's all I can think about is the word fantastic because that's what it was. And yeah, I think it was a great movie.
I will give you this too. I think that if this movie would have came out at the same or around the same time as whenever you had someone like Bob Chapek in, I think we would have had a completely different cast in there. They probably would have
Right.
thrown a lot more money at trying to get in the people that they originally talked about, which
Yeah.
I'm super glad they didn't because after watching this, I don't know if those others would have had as great chemistry together. I
Right.
know that they talked about giving Sue Storm to Margaret Robbie,
Yep.
and I can't see it now. They thought,
It's the same thing with people talking about Adam Driver being Reed Richards. So, like I could not have
right.
seen that.
You can't see it now. Like even whenever they were originally talking about it, I was like, I don't necessarily see it. I seen a little bit better of an argument for him to maybe play Doom, but
Yeah.
I
Well,
just
that's the thing I've been saying for years. That I would have loved to see Adam Driver play Doom.
right, that was our fan casting for it. I
Yeah.
remember me and you both agreed that that would have made a perfect Doom. We thought, but I mean, now we got RDJ. We'll see how this goes. I think it'll still be amazing either way.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm glad with who we have in these roles, and it's hard to see anyone else taking on those like who we've heard versus who we got. It's hard to see anyone else now.
Right. All right. So
So
since we're on this discussion and talking about characters and everything, let's go ahead and get into a deep dive of the characters, the family, starting with the family, and I'm guess we should just start out with Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards. So what was your thoughts on him?
listen, I was the same originally as everybody else on thinking that's not 100% who I think or thought they should have casted. You know, I didn't know who exactly, but I had ideas, right?
Right.
But once you see Pedro Pascal in this role, it just makes sense, and he just fits the role.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, now take it too. I think a lot of his acting was good in the movie, but it was more so enhanced by everyone else around him.
Yeah, well, that was my thing with my number one thing with Pedro playing Reed was like the way that he portrayed him. I loved the way he portrayed like how he was more shy and like not per se shy, but he was just more kept to himself and he wasn't very like cocky or anything like that. Like not saying that all the other forms of him, like all the other actors who played him were cocky, but Pedro just played him with more of like just a more of that softer touch, I guess you could say, and it
I
made
think
it.
he played it. Oh,
I think
excuse me.
with the way that Vanessa Kirby plays Sue, I think the way Sue is portrayed in this movie, I feel like the way Reed is portrayed is the perfect counterpart to her. You know what I mean? Like because
Right.
because I mean, and we'll get into it when we get to her. Is like Sue is very independent and strong in this movie, and she keeps Reed on his toes throughout the movie. So it's just like, you know, like she keeps him in check. That's what I mean. What I'm meaning by on his toes, like she keeps him in check throughout the movie. And one thing I loved about Reed is like, no matter what was going on throughout the movie and what was happening, he was always trying to find a solution. No matter like, and the thing is, even if you know something failed and they only had 10 minutes left, he would still be trying to figure out a solution down to the last wire if they had to, you know. But it's like that.
I mean, we seen that.
Yeah, but that's what I loved about him is just like he was just always, no matter what, trying to protect his family and trying to figure out every single possible way he could to protect his family and the world at the same time. And
I think more so than him being playing it kind of in a timid way was more so that Reed the whole time still had guilt to him
yeah,
from their first time in space and the incident, and that's just weighed him down a
right,
lot the whole time. And it's just carried over this whole time and into whenever he finds out, he's about to have a kid. A lot of that guilt carried over with him, and he wanted to make sure that he didn't mess anything up. So that's the reason why he was trying to baby proof everything, including the world itself.
right,
So, and like you were saying with Sue Storm, I guess this will be our way to lead into her.
yeah,
She managed to keep Reed in check the whole time. Their chemistry together, they both, Vanessa Kirby and Pedro Pascal, worked really well. I am super glad with how well that worked.
yeah,
And she actually felt more so like she had a main part to this, right?
right, yeah,
Because we actually got to see more so of Sue Storm that acted as a sister, acted as a wife, and acted as a mother too.
yeah,
And that was fascinating to get all those different sides of her
for sure,
and being able to see how a mother reacts whenever certain situations go on, because it was, I wouldn't say it was fascinating, it was fun, because good and well that if your baby's in danger and you hear them crying because of something going wrong and it's somebody else messing with them, of course there's going to be that mother bear instinct kicked in.
oh,
And we
no,
got that.
she honestly, she was low key kind of hood with it throughout some of the movie, man. Like the part where she's in labor in the ship as they're trying to escape from Galactus's big old ship, and Shalabal is following them and cutting in between cutting in and out of the ship, and she looks at Johnny. She looks at Johnny. She's like, Johnny, kill her, and he's like, what? And she's like, she's trying to kill your nephew. Kill her, and he was just like, all right, bet.
But still, even then, like whenever he couldn't do it, she all of a sudden snaps in really quick to knock the Silver Surfer right out, pretty
Oh,
much. You know?
oh yeah, that. But the part when they're trying to get off the planet, like when they're still in the suits, and she comes in and
Right? Yeah, that's what I'm talking
knocks
about.
Johnny down, and she just grabs her and just yeets her into the lava.
Yeah.
Yes, nah, that's what Going to what I have to say about it is that's one of my favorite things, and probably my favorite thing about it is, I mean, clearly, just like they don't have to say it, but just by the vibes in this movie, it's almost certain, like in the way it feels, Sue is the true leader of this team. Though Reed is the leader, she's the backbone of Reed, so it's like she's more like the controlling factor of the team. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's just like she helps everybody stay in check and keep level headed, but like she shows in her moments that she can be not controlling, but like she's good at demanding, like she's good at being like, do this, do that.
Right. She's able to keep everyone, not just Reed, but everyone in the family in check the whole time.
Yeah.
Now, even though she does, like, whenever they first find out she's pregnant, she does she kind of gives herself away and she kind of lets up right there. But, of course she is, because she's not that great of a liar. None of them are. I mean, it's not in their DNA to just sit here and fib to one another. They are a truthful family with each other, and that's what another piece that makes them fantastic is that they are truthful to what's going on. I mean, like for example, whenever they come back from Galactus, Reed could have told a complete fib over the whole deal of what happened,
Yeah.
but they didn't. Instead he said, "Well, we didn't win." I mean, it was felt in that moment. You could feel it, and you could feel that guilt still running through him.
Yeah. Well, that's a
But
good thing that this whole movie did is like it was so good at telling you like how serious this shit is, because it's like this ain't just a bad guy destroying a city. This is somebody to become and devour the world. So it's like everybody's about to die if we don't get our shit together. So
right, and I mean, sorry to cut you off. I'm just leading into with that is that during that time of him saying we didn't, we lead into Johnny saying not yet. I mean, Johnny also spilling in over to him. He also played a lot bigger role than what I would have expected. Because normally they just show him. Well, from what we have seen before, we haven't gotten this side of Johnny of him still being that true astronaut and actually being smart. Because a lot of times, not everybody correlates with him actually being a smart one too. All people see is him being the handsome one,
Right.
And sure, while he is a ladies' man, because we see that with him and whenever he comes face to face with Shia LaBeouf, I mean, he still ends up taking time to decrypt or to understand her language.
Yeah.
And breaks it all down over different samples that they had to figure out the whole entire alphabet to the language, and then write out what was being said to figure out this whole thing for him.
So he could say it to her.
And I mean, it was amazing to see that side of Johnny.
And the fact that like him doing that figured out that it was like a message from her home world, like trying to find her, because the one place that Galactus spared was her world for her turning her leniency over to him.
Right. And like it was still funny too, seeing him sitting there think, I'm starting to have this, I'm trying to figure out this stuff, but at the same time it looks like I'm having, or I like this girl. So Johnny is, and he's sitting there talking in third person, and it's hilarious too because all of a sudden Ben chimes in. And Ben likes when you sit here and Johnny sits and talks in third person.
Yep.
Like that was one of my favorite lines pieces that had happened between those two.
That's just my favorite thing about. I mean, my favorite thing about Johnny is this whole movie is like what we've been saying is just like how smart they made him, and like
Right.
though they kept him funny, though they kept him the ladies' man, he's still smart, and it, like you said, it showed how over throughout the movie he used those recordings of the message over and over to decipher the code and tell it's a code from Shalabal's home family and home world, and using that to help pretty much flip Shalabal. And I don't know, it's like they made him more of a character instead of being just Johnny.
Right. I mean, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but if you compare it to the original movies, that wasn't what you got from
No.
Johnny. I mean, especially if you take it back to the original 2005
Oh yeah.
Fantastic Four. He was more so the ladies' man then
Yeah.
than he was in this movie. In this movie, he was more so he was a ladies' man and he liked the girl, but at the same time, he was trying to figure things out to help save the world.
Yep.
More so. And, I think too, one of the great things I liked about him is that he had a great connection and felt more so like a brother to Ben.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's
Their chemistry ran perfectly as well
and we could
in
use
this
that,
movie.
and we could use that to transition into Ben. And like the thing is, like they used their connection in this movie so perfectly. They have throughout the movie such perfect like uncle connection, big like big brother little brother connection.
Yeah.
And it's played out throughout the movie so much, and it's so great. And I love how Ben's portrayed in this movie. I mean, I liked how Ben was portrayed in the 2005 movie too, but I like the way that this one plays a little bit more. It shows that he's got like hobbies, like the cooking part of it, and when he was tasting the sauce, and the little part when like he figures out Sue's pregnant, he's just looking at her, that little look he was giving her, and
Yeah.
I loved how much emotion that you could see in his face, like without it being too much, like I love that brow, and I think that's what that brow really does is help portray his emotions.
Oh yeah, his just like that whole top part of his face. If he didn't have that, you wouldn't be able to see as much emotion.
Right. And I really loved the whole beard thing, like whenever they were preserving the power for the big old portal things, and he's in the middle of grinding his face down, and Johnny was like, nice beard, and he's like, you really think so? So he lets it grow out.
Well, it was funny too because it like for him to be made out of rocks and him grinding down his beard. Whenever the power stops and we see him with Johnny, you can see the little splotches that he misses.
Yeah.
That is hilarious that they paid that much detail to a rock beard.
Yeah, he was like missed a couple spots. He was like, yeah.
And just like, so how we was talking about, how well they have his expressions and the attention to detail. The fact of like whenever he sits there and claps his hands or takes that little taste test of the sauce to the spaghetti, you can actually hear the rocks clanking around on him more so. And that is just a great little detail. And same with Johnny, whenever he's on fire, it's funny too because there's like certain things that you'll see him like be able to touch that doesn't set fire whenever he goes to touch certain things sometimes.
Well, if you watch, he it's like he can turn the fire off on half his body and keep going.
Right. And And like probably one of the greatest things too was whenever we see him at the beginning at that power plant or whatever it was, and
Yeah, and he
he
sucks in all that
absorbs
fire. Yeah.
all the fire. And I was sitting there thinking, so I take it whenever he makes the four, that's just the access fire, and that's what's able to cause the four. But that's so incredible because it's not something that we've ever seen him do before, you know?
Right. But like, well, as per se as everybody on this team was just phenomenal, and the chemistry between all four of them just made the movie even better. And like I said at the beginning of this, I don't think they could have casted it better now that I've seen the movie. This is my personal feeling. I know some people probably still have some feelings about it, but that's just how I feel about it.
I mean, now take it to, we also didn't say really that much about Franklin.
We'll
It's
get
because
to it.
we don't. We'll get to him first off, and second off, there wasn't that much that we see him do in the movie because the majority of the movie he's a baby. The main thing comes towards the end with his mom, and you know,
We'll get to it.
but so there's not that much to say about him. Is there anything else we might have missed on the family wise?
Not that I would think so. I mean, besides, like, you know, like I said, the chemistry between them, and I think that the scene with, like, where she's giving birth to Franklin, I think that whole scene was beautifully acted between Pedro and Vanessa Kirby, and I thought that was really well done. But other than that, that's all I have to
I
say
think
about
that
it.
was I think that was the main scene where I got really choked up and like the emotions kicked in.
Yeah.
And and take it, we'll get to this later too. But I think the only thing that saved it was me laughing at seeing Franklin though,
Oh yeah.
because I kind of let out a chuckle right there whenever I seen how he looked. So,
All right. So
but
on to the next character. Um, we gotta continue with Shia LaBeouf. So, Ridge, how do you think Shia LaBeouf was in this movie?
we've said it once, and we'll continue to say it. It's fucking fantastic.
Yep.
That is how a Silver Surfer should look. That is how you should tell a backstory to a Silver Surfer. Take it, we didn't get to see her love interest, but we did get to see like her. They made it work more so with seeing her and her kids. So that way, it had more of a fit for later on whenever she does turn on Galactus, because we understand it more so. I mean, even early on, whenever she hears Galactus say that he wants the baby, she's like, but he's just a baby, you know? Like, she didn't like the sounds of it,
Right.
but he didn't have a care in the world. So, I mean, you could see that emotion, and like, and we eventually get to where we see her with her child, but she sacrifices herself so that way her child could continue to live.
Right.
And it's such a wildly moving aspect
Yeah.
to have for it. And like I said, it fits in so well. And even like this photo is whenever she's giving her speech to everyone.
Right.
That whole speech, you could feel the guilt, and you could see the guilt in her eyes that she has had to say this multiple times to people.
Yeah.
And from what I've heard too, the only part, like apparently Galactus only wants her to say that she is the herald of Galactus and that your world is marked for death.
Yeah.
But she continues on by saying all the other things of hold your loved one, say the thing that you haven't said. You know, I can't remember exactly every line,
Right.
but it's those extra words is because of how many times she has done this.
Yeah.
and how many times it has eaten at her every single time.
For sure.
Because she knows that this could have been her and her kid. But instead, she sacrificed herself to save her own child.
Right.
And even later on, it comes so full circled for her whenever she does hit Galactus into the teleportation device.
And like I will say, the way she looks too. I think Julia Garner played her fantastically. I mean, the way she looks, like in some of the scenes, like the scene where they're in the black hole and she's like surfing the black hole and shit. Wow.
Oh, dude, every surfing scene, by the way, that is something else that we haven't seen before with Silver Surfer. The only other time was just in Rise of Silver Surfer. Take it, that Silver Surfer, whenever you would see like the chase scene between that Johnny and Silver Surfer through New York, that was a pretty good scene.
Yeah.
But with this Silver Surfer, we got to see like every time she would move, she wouldn't move just in a straight line. She would go rock back and forth, and like whenever she was in the lava, she was riding the wave of the lava. Whenever she was in the wormhole or whatever it was that they were in, she would be riding up against the side of it.
Yep.
Whenever they go into the black hole or head towards the black hole, you see her riding across the rocks, and that's how you do Silver Surfer right there. That's the surfing part. That's what you have to make it feel more like I get surfboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that helps with the Silver Surfer, obviously. The Silver and the Surfer, surfboard and silver, but it says Silver Surfer, so the surfer has to surf.
Yeah.
And that's what she does in the movie. We see her surfing on these different surfaces, and it makes it that much more incredible.
Yeah, it really does.
I think that's all I got to say. I mean, other than, like even whenever Johnny first chases after her in this movie, and they both get into space, and she leans over the board, and you can see Johnny's reflection off of her.
Yeah.
You can see his face reflecting off of her face. It's just all fantastic work that they've done.
Yeah, that's my main thing is that she just looks phenomenal, and like the close-ups, like in her eyes, I think her eyes are so beautiful in this movie. Like I just like the colors, the silver in the eyes, and how they make it look, and like she looks better than I thought she would in the first trailer. Like she looks better than that in my opinion. So it's like she's
hot.
Yeah.
Hot take. Other than just stopping at hot, I think that this Silver Surfer looks way better. I'd almost say 10 times better than the Nornrad Surfer from Rise of the Silver Surfer.
I think so too.
I mean, now take it, we're comparing like decades of years apart between the two.
Right.
But I like this Silver Surfer, like how they did this one.
Yeah, me too.
A lot more. Now, I will say, there's still a chance that we will see a new version of Nornrad, just because I think, and this is kind of jumping ahead too, I think that since we didn't see him, like in the flashback, maybe we're going to eventually get to one for this universe, for the 616 or whatever we end up in.
Right.
So there's a chance that we'll still get to see him.
Possibly.
And that'd be an interesting thing too. Is like, what if? Like I said, I'm jumping ahead, so I'm sorry. But what if this Shia Ball gets to see a different Silver Surfer, like a Nornrad?
Right.
That could end up fucking her up, because she thought that she just saved him already too. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, man, it's just wild to think about.
It is. All right, so on to our next character to talk about. We got Mole Man. And I can't remember the actor's name, but I love the guy. I mean, he was in Cobra Kai and a few other things I've seen him in. He's just hilarious, and I think that this is a perfect role for him. Like, I think he did this pretty well, and I like the way they used him in the movie. It's pretty smart. Yeah, that's all I really have for him. I mean, he wasn't like a super important part to me, but he played a good role in the movie, and I think he was done well.
His name is Paul Walter Hauser, by the way.
Yeah.
The movie I remember, I don't remember seeing him in because I didn't get to watch it, was the Richard Jewell movie.
Yeah, he was good in that movie.
I want to see that movie so bad. That, and he also played in Inside Out 2.
Okay.
And in Blackbird. I don't know if you ever watched Blackbird or not.
No.
That had him and Taron Egerton. Is that how you say his name? I can't think of how you say it.
Edgerton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in. He's been in a lot of movies.
Yeah, I know he has been. It's just
But anyways, back to him as the Mole Man. I think I thought he was pretty good. It was wild seeing a Mole Man because I didn't think we'd actually ever get to a place where we needed a Mole Man. But if you read the comic that had come out, or if you hear on another YouTube channel, because I know like New Rock Stars breaks down what happened in that comic book, and it explains how he fits in more so. He's a really great character.
Yeah.
And I thought it was, I mean, it was kind of like having this character made sense because you had to figure out a way to save the people.
Yeah.
From getting crushed by having like thousands of people getting crushed by Galactus. How are we going to do that? Well, let's just send them underground for a while, under the earth.
Yeah.
With Mole Man and his utopia for a little while. And, it fucking worked. What I thought was hilarious, like the best scene with him was whenever he said that he wanted, I think it was Reed to butter up about it, and he sat there wiping his hands back and forth over the buttering up part. Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, that's diabolical. And like just the piece of him.
He was like a simp for Sue.
He kind of was.
He wasn't like, I'm purely in love with you. He was just like, I like you. Like, you're like the only person above ground that I like. So
I think it was. Sue was the one that was able to reach a peace agreement with him.
Right.
But I also think that plays into a character of Sue, is that she's able, with a lot of different characters, to have that soft spot. Like, is that soft spot for all those characters, Mm-hmm. But, and like, even whenever people go down or are coming into the underground city that he's created, he's like, please clean off your feet before coming in. I'm just kidding. It's all dirt.
Yeah.
That was kind of funny. I'm not going to lie. Like, with certain characters, I kind of wish that they would do like a Disney short on Disney Plus or something, where we get like Mole Man and we get like a funny adventure with him or something,
Yeah.
Just so that way we can get more in depth with the characters. I think that'd be funny, but I mean, at the same time too, we got the comic book that explained, the whole background to Mole Man. So, I guess that's better than having him get cut out like they did.
Red Ghost.
Red Ghost, yeah.
Now at least
That said Red Guardian.
they still mention him, but yeah, it's sad that they cut him out.
Right, but I mean, they made mentions of a lot of villains.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so on to the next character, and it's a big one, pun intended. It's Galactus. Now, I will have to say, man, the scene where they go to Galactus' ship to try to negotiate with him, he is scary as shit. Like they did a very good job of portraying how scary he is and how massive he is, bro. Like they made him to scale look so insanely massive. And like the way the animation looked on it just looked phenomenal. Like I was so surprised on how good they made him look. And there's no other thing to really say. Is like the voice was booming. He was massive. He was horrifying. It was everything I wanted Galactus to be. That's the short thing to really say. Is he was the perfect Galactus in my opinion.
The main thing to say about this is that's how you do Galactus.
Facts.
We finally get an actual comic accurate Galactus. We don't have to deal with the Cloud no more. I mean, sure, they teased of Galactus in the Rise of Silver Surfer. We get like a shadow of his helmet.
Yeah.
But even then, it did not compare to this Galactus. This Galactus was terrifying whenever he needed to be terrifying. You could feel how much power he had the first time we see him inside his ship. Whenever he talks, you felt the power behind his voice. Whenever he comes closer to them to say like he wants the baby, and instantly whenever his little shape or whatever you want to call him comes up from over his eyes, and all instantly he makes Sue Storm go into labor. Yeah. Like he activates whatever gene or something inside of Franklin to get him stirred up enough for Sue to go into labor right there.
Yep.
It was fucking insane the whole time. And whenever he comes down to Earth, take it, that's not exactly how I figured he was going to show up on Earth.
Right.
But I'll take it. And he still felt demanding. He still felt terrifying. They threw a fuel truck at him and set it on fire. That did nothing to him.
What was crazy?
You felt his power.
What was crazy is like if you watch closely as he was walking onto land, he was getting smaller and smaller. Like he was shrinking to where he wasn't like too big to walk through the streets.
Right. But I mean, and even like whenever he first steps up onto the land, you see him just reach down and grab the soil and feel it.
Yeah.
That right there in of itself is like he can feel the energy and he can feel how well this planet feels, and it's going to help him for a little amount of time.
Right, and
this planet will do.
And that part, going deep into the story, they wanted to build these like power beacons or portals or whatever to push the Earth to another side of the universe, to a different galaxy that would be so far away that it'd take Galactus millions of years to get to. And the fact, he eventually has Shalla take out all of the other portals except for the one in Times Square. And the fact, whenever they were trying to lure him in with Franklin in the middle of that platform, he showed how smart he was. Like when he got right to it and he stopped, and he looked over to the Baxter building and used his vision, and he was just like, smart bugs. He literally,
Smart tiny humans.
he was literally like he was like smart buggies or smart something like that.
Smart, like he called them ants or something. But like the whole
Critters. He's
time,
like critters. He's like smart critters or something like that.
the whole time, you just felt the presence of him and thought, or at least I thought, oh shit, how are they going to beat him now?
Yeah,
What's it going to take?
it felt damn
Because
near impossible.
until the last second, and even then, you didn't realize how powerful Sue really was.
Yes,
You slightly got hints of it, but not to that extent.
and
Even then, it was too much for her.
and whenever it got to her like hearing Franklin scream and seeing him, and her giving that last little final burst of power to burst him through the portal, that was awesome. Like it was such an awesome scene. Then of course the portal was still open, so Galactus tried to crawl himself back out of it, and Johnny was going to.
And I think it's wild too. Like going back a little, is that? Oh, sorry. You must have cut out or something right there.
Oh no, it's my bad. I was just, I was just,
No, you're good.
I was just saying like, whenever he tried to crawl back out, and Johnny went to sacrifice himself to, knock Galactus back into the portal, but Shalabal came in and knocked him into the portal as you brought in earlier. But
Right.
but what was you gonna say going back before we get into the
Well,
big Sue part?
I was just going to say, even whenever we see Sue start to push him,
Right.
uh, while she's doing it, Galactus managed to get himself back up a little bit whenever he grabs a hold of the building. And if it wouldn't have been for Ben coming in to knock the building down,
That was such a good use of that.
he would have easily gotten back up and started pushing back again.
Yeah, and
Like
that was such a smart use of that scene because you never knew where it came from. You just saw that part in the trailer, but like seeing that it was that part to keep Galactus from getting his feet back under him, like that was very smart and pretty cool scene to see.
right. And I'll tell you this too. Whenever I seen that Johnny was about to sacrifice himself to be able to knock Galactus in, I thought, oh shit, will he actually do it? And then because there's, I think, been a comic where Johnny takes on becoming the herald to Galactus.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I thought that could have eventually been a potential right there, but out of nowhere, here comes in Silver Surfer to knock Galactus fully back into the portal and be able to have it closed on both of them.
Right. And going into the next part, and this picture goes along with it, and it transcends into the next character we're talking about. So the fact that Sue had to use the extent of literally every single ounce of power she had in her body, she just dies. And it was such an emotional scene. Like, I think they played the emotion in that scene very well. I mean, the way that everybody was reacting and all that, and you get a little bit more of what we're going to talk about here in a second. But let's go ahead and bring it up, Ridge. The CGI baby.
So yeah, that's probably that was the part that made me laugh. And if I had a nitpick too, was Franklin being a CGI baby. Take it. It's probably hard as. It's the whole time as him being a baby.
Right.
But I think that take it. I'm sure it's hard as hell. I think the two hardest things probably it seems like to do whenever it comes to CGI work is making a realistic baby
Yeah.
and giving Reed his stretching powers. It seems like those two are the toughest things to do because I mean, whenever you look, going back to a certain part with Galactus, whenever Reed's getting stretched
Yeah.
by Galactus, I mean, whenever they show Reed's face, you can see the CGI right there a little bit more so.
Yeah, of course.
But again, it's just like small little nitpicks, but at the same time, it was like for Franklin specifically, it was still adorable seeing a CGI baby
Yeah.
because it was funny, but at the same time cute, so it worked.
Now,
But also like getting to see his powers
yeah, that's what I was
at
getting
the
to.
end.
What I was getting to next, like I said before, Sue died from using her powers, and they were all, getting emotional, and Reed crying, and the baby was starting to cry and reach towards Sue, and eventually Reed just put her on Sue's chest, and what I thought was cool, he was like kind of crying, and he just stops, and he just sits there for a second, and next thing you know, Sue comes back to life breathing, and her eyes are glowing blue, and they have that like galaxy starry look in it, and she just like comes back too, and it was just like there was even a part like when it cuts back to Franklin, he's just kind of like, yeah, I did that.
I thought it was funny. Well, not funny, but that's whenever you could, like, whenever he goes silent, that's whenever he's using all of his. Well, I don't necessarily even think all of his energy, but he's using a good bit of his power to bring back his mama right there in that moment. And you see it on his face too.
Yeah.
Whenever like everything is still, whenever she is still and not moving at all, you see that like slight smile on him, like, yeah, no, I got this, guys. We're fine. And it was also funny too, going back a little bit more. Sorry, I go back occasionally to certain things. Whenever you like the CGI of seeing the baby just reaching as hard as he can, like, just let me get over here to my mama. I promise you, I got this, fam. It was funny because you could see like you could see that like aspect of, okay, a baby ain't gonna be reaching that hard. Yes, they'll reach. Trust me, I have a little one.
The thing is like, they probably have to use a baby in a CG, like in a mocap suit or something like that to do it. So it's probably hard to, put the CGI baby actions over a baby's mocap.
Yeah, they're putting a baby in there. I think it's either they have a baby doll that they're having to, guide like.
Yeah, that too.
It's either that or it's straightly all CGI'd.
Yeah.
And it's just act like this baby's leaning in, and so whenever they're having to act, it's a little bit extra because of how they're having to move, because they don't actually have a physical baby there to make the movements itself.
Right. But going back,
and even if they did, you're not going to be able to just get a baby to randomly start reaching for somebody.
Now going back, like you said, going forward a little bit. No, going back. Well, either way, going back to Franklin's character. The fact that, like, even when they're speaking to Galactus in his ship, how he mentions how powerful Franklin is, and he was just like, you don't understand the powers that this kid has. And they even said that, per se, they said it as a joke, but it's like supposedly Franklin's a cosmic god. So it's like
he has a cosmic power in him.
Yeah.
And also, still staying back, I thought it was incredible with Sue how she manages like her powers, like how they show her powers whenever she shows Franklin in her stomach.
Yeah, that was cool.
Like, I was like, okay, yeah, no, this is completely different compared to how you normally see Sue. Like, you never just have, like, she's able to show just like a certain part, like because if she broke a bone, we don't ever just see her show where she broke a bone or anything. But the
Right.
fact that with this, we get to see where she just shows her baby, so that way Reed's not running any more tests
Well,
over.
it's because just to tell the people throughout the movie, Reed's worried that Franklin is got powers like them, or he's morphed or mutated by the cosmic rays or the energy that's in
Right.
their bodies or whatever. But though they find out he looks normal and everything, Galactus is the one that tells them that he has powers of cosmic being.
And even after that too, whenever they're back on Earth and Rita's sitting there holding him instead of having him laying down to do the test. There he has him laying down, but picks him up, says, I normally run tests on you with this. This is normally to check to see, your powers. But instead, I'm not going to do that no
I'm gonna
more.
let you. Well, that's because whenever whenever Galactus tells him he has powers, Reed's like, "No, he doesn't. I've done tests. I've ran all the tests." And Galactus is like, "He's hiding them from you
Right,
because you're so worried about him having them."
right.
And it's like
And
that scene that you just brought up, where he's like, "You know what? I'll let you tell me what you are." And I was like, "Man,
I
about get you, buddy."
now I'm not going to lie. There was a part of me, and I don't know why, because I know it wouldn't have made 100% sense in the movie. I thought for a second there was going to be an older version of Franklin pop out of the shadows or something to explain it to
Oh
his dad,
yeah,
because he has those type of powers where he can meet an older version of himself.
right.
So I thought that there could be a chance of that. But instead, we get a second of silence, and then all of a sudden, Reed picks him up, saying, "Nope, you're too busy peeing."
Yep.
And I'm not going to lie, neither. Whenever I sat there and thought, if you wanted to make it slightly more so funny, especially for kids because they love these type of jokes, why not just say that he's pooping?
That's what I thought they was gonna do.
Yeah, I feel like that would have been a little bit more funny. It's like, oh, nope, I can smell you pooping. Because again, trust me, because I have a kid, you're more than likely going to smell them pooping before you can smell their pee in their diapers.
Right.
Unless you got just a wickedly strong nose. And who knows with Reed, because I mean he can probably expand his nasal cavity to wild bounds,
Right.
but I mean I don't think that's what he's doing, and it'd be like I said, it's just a lot easier to smell poop than it is pee. So why not just say, oh nope, you instead of telling me that you're going to tell me that you're pooping.
Right.
I can smell the poop.
So, I mean, those were your nitpicks with the movies. I mean, you got any more before I get into mine?
So, like I said, the one nitpick I had was just the CGI baby. It
Yeah.
was kind of funny how he looked, and like I said, it's probably freaking difficult to CGI baby. So, other than that, my only other thing that I can complain about slightly, and it's not really even that much of a complaint, I kind of wish we would have had like an extra 30 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Like just to do more with the family or something, because it just felt like it was needed. Like I was like,
It was just fun to
yeah,
watch. Though.
but
It was a good thing to watch. That's the thing. It's
right.
like I just could have seen more because it was so enjoyable.
It's not even like the same type of I want it to be longer, like how I wanted Superman to be longer. Superman felt like it needed to be long because it felt like it needed to tell more to the story.
Right.
This one, it was I wanted it to be longer so that way I could just enjoy the story that much more with the family.
Right.
But those are my two nitpicks, and I mean it's not that big of a nitpick neither.
Alright, so into my nitpicks, I mean, and mine mainly have, well, mine both have to deal with the thing, and so my main nitpick is just I just wish we could have seen a little bit more with him and his love connection. Just because I mean, I loved him like the thing and Kerry Washington's love connection in the original 2005 movie, but I love the actress they got to play for his love connection, and I was really liking their chemistry. So I would have liked to see a little bit more of that. But hopefully we get to see some in the future. But my other one, and this is just one I felt like it just got hyped up because of the trailers. I felt like the it's clobbering time scene was a slightly anticlimactic. I mean, it was in a climactic part of the movie, but it was like I felt like it wasn't as big as I thought it was going to be. Like I thought, the whole scene of Johnny, telling him to say it, and he finally says it. I thought he was going to like scream it and like hit Galactus and knock him off his feet or knock him backwards or something like that. I just thought it was going to be something more cool like that. And instead, he was just like, "It's clobbering time."
Well, yeah.
It made it sound like he was just forced to say it. But
I don't know if I would say he was.
But throughout the movie, he does show that he doesn't say it. He just says it in the cartoon.
Right. I think it was more so of he said, you know what, screw it. This could be our last time on Earth.
Right.
I'm gonna say it now.
Yeah.
And so he says it just to get it out there because he's never really said it before. And he wanted to feel what it would be like in the moment. And who knows, maybe going forward he might say it more. I'm not 100% sure, and I don't know if it fit the character. And I'd also have to agree with you. I definitely felt like I wanted more, and I think that could have been one of those things, like if we could have had a little bit longer of a movie, we could have dove a little bit more into Ben's love interest and their story a little bit more and what was going on, like especially whenever he goes to meet her at the church.
Yeah.
Because it just leaves off with her smiling after he says, "I wanted to see you."
Yeah. That's the
okay,
thing,
but show me more.
If there was like a whole dialogue scene where they both like expressed their interest in each other and all that like even if it was just that little like 1-2 minute extra more, I feel like it would have been perfect. But it's just like, but like,
who knows? Maybe it wouldn't have fit for just the time being of the amount of movie, and maybe there is a deleted scene where we get to see him maybe sit down or get to see them walk off to the side and talk a little bit more, and how he sits there and says, this is where I used to also go to church at. Right. Just something small. But, like you said, I definitely think that we should have gotten more to their love story as well.
But that's all I really had to nitpick on.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of nitpicks this movie.
But to get into the big part of the discussion, which I think is the after credit scene, and just to let you guys know,
post credit.
Yeah, well, mid credit scene.
Well, yeah, let's just call it mid credit. Yeah, I mean post after.
You just explain it real quick. It's nothing like detrimental to the story, really. I guess.
Are you wanting me to explain it?
Yeah. Well,
okay.
The post credit scene, not the mid credit, not the big one, but what I'm talking about.
After.
Yeah.
Okay, so just the very last scene that we get is just the cartoon version of the theme to the Fantastic Four. We see in the movie the cartoon, but we end up seeing at the very end just the intro to it, pretty much. Wasn't anything worth sitting around waiting on, I don't think, we always get told, well, we don't always get told, but we always expect that we need to stay till the very end to see what the last thing is.
Yeah.
You don't have to stay to see that. And it's on the TV. It backs up a little bit, and you see Herbie turn off the TV.
Right.
But I mean, that was pretty much it. By the way, we didn't really talk about Herbie neither, and I feel like we need to a little bit before we get into this scene that we're going to discuss.
Okay.
Because Herbie was a fantastic part to the movie as well.
He was.
I mean,
Great.
he played a really key role in a lot of things that were going on.
Oh yeah.
And it was funny too because you would see at certain points, well, whenever they was about to go into space, where Reed would change out his little tape, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Of where it was him at home versus him in space.
Yeah. Cause,
So that way he had like a different program to him.
Yeah. I also like the part like when Sue catches Herbie building the crib, and he's just sitting there. He's just sitting there reading the manual, and he just turns around like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" And just keeps going.
And then whenever she walks away, you just see his little hand sitting there spinning, like he just continues on with what's going on. And also another part that I found hilarious too was whenever he had just put up the baby gate, and Ben goes walking around while he's reading the book on babies, and he just falls. And as soon as he falls, all of a sudden Herbie says, "Oh shit!" and takes off.
And he's like, "Herbie!"
he just knows to book it too. And what's funny too, I'll give you this because it's in that comic that they came out with. There was a robot before Herbie named Kirby. And it just so happened, what happened to that robot is that the thing destroyed him whenever he got back to Earth. While they was locked up, he going through the motions of everything and was fed up, and he tore the head off of Kirby. Oh, so I'm pretty sure in that moment, whenever Herbie heard Ben fall, he said, "Oh shit, my head." Because he probably had a little bit of an idea of what happened beforehand. So, he wanted to take off as soon as possible. And
I will say Herbie's a real motherfucker too. That boy, when Galactus was heading towards the Baxter building, he got to the window and was looking inside the window, and Herbie just just put himself in front of Franklin.
He said, "I'm not that powerful, but by God, I'll try to get in front of you." Yeah. and like it was great hearing the lullaby that he would do.
Yeah.
And also, if you pay attention enough to Herbie, you can see his eyes make his mouth move, so his expressions will change. You can see him smile, you can see him frown.
Oh, that's cool.
It's really fascinating what they're able to do with him. Yeah, and it's also cool because he was practical. He wasn't CGI for a lot of it.
Now,
say
the cool fact that you told me about him before the pod.
Yeah, so another thing that I figured out too, and now take it, this was just on TikTok. So if you watch TikTok enough, and if you watch enough Fantastic Four TikTok videos, you'll eventually get to it. But Herbie was voiced by the same person that voiced General Grievous in Star Wars.
Hell yeah.
And that to me was hilarious because those two voices are complete opposite of each other.
For sure.
One's more fluent in English and deeper. Meanwhile, Herbie sounds more so like R2-D2. And I'm not going to lie, I was almost expecting that R2-D2 scream whenever he took off running whenever Ben fell down the stairs. Yeah. Even though we kind of got that. But either way, Herbie was a great character. It was fun getting to see him whenever he had time on the screen too, whenever he helped guide the ship into the thing that made them take off at the speed of light. It was it was fun watching him get head scratches from Johnny
Yeah.
and give Johnny a fist bump. That was fantastic too. So overall, Herbie was a great extra side character that definitely needed to be in this movie. I felt like.
For sure, I agree with you. But now on to the post-credit scene, and like I said, everybody, forewarning, we're showing the picture. We are showing the actual picture for the scene.
Hopefully, this doesn't get taken down later.
Look, Disney, we love you. We love you. Don't take us out. But
I don't know if they will or not, just because it's been plastered everywhere.
yeah, probably. But on to the post-credit scene. Like I said, we gave you a warning. In the post-credit scene, it shows Sue sitting there with Franklin, which this is 4 years after the ending of the movie. She's reading him a story or something like that, and she says, "How about we do something more fun or something like that?" And goes off to do something. Can't remember exactly what it was.
You want another book, don't you?
Right. Something. Yeah.
He says yes.
You want another book, something more fun. So she goes to go get another book, and she hears noises coming from the living room.
Hold on, real quick, because I know we're wanting to just jump into the main piece to that.
Right.
Also, with Herbie, he holds up a book that apparently they had just read the night before, and it was a big old literature book.
Yeah, it was like a scientist book or something like that, like something big.
I think it was a book on evolution.
Something like that. And she was just like, "We read that last night. I know it's his favorite, but."
And then she goes to grab just another kid's book instead. But anyways, I'm sorry. I had to make sure we threw that in.
You're good. But she hears the noise coming from the living room, which is not really loud. It's just kind of a soft noise. But she makes her way back in the living room, and she projects her powers in retaliation. And they got the big old TV, whatever, fireplace thing in the middle of the living room. And as she's coming around and peering over, you see the dark green cloak knelt in front of Franklin as Franklin is reaching into the hood, touching the face of only the true depiction is Dr. Doom. I mean, you see the mask in the hand, and I mean, you don't hear anything or see anything else. That's all you see. It cuts to black right there, and it says that the Fantastic Four will return in Avengers Doomsday. So, go ahead and tell me what your theory on this is.
So, well, it's not really a theory on this. It's just a thought right here in this moment. Whenever we see Franklin touching his face, I mean, it's presumed that that's what's happening. I think that is the scene where we get his face is being healed. So that way we have Tony Stark's face or Robert Downey Jr.'s face.
So his face
that's the reason. Right, that's what's happening right there, and that's whenever because Victor geez, if I can talk, I'm stumbling over myself with excitement over this thought. That's that little bit right there. Doom already knows that this kid is powerful.
Right.
It's been 4 years.
I mean, he wouldn't be there if he wasn't.
Surely to goodness, in those 4 years, something else has happened where Franklin has shown his powers, and probably to the public in some way, shape, or form. And now take it, the whole time in the movie, we never see Victor Von Doom at the meetings. All we see is an empty chair with his flag right there, right? So he's been off, I think, this whole time trying to figure out how to save the universe because he knows the bigger threat that's going on. He knows that Fantastic Four can take care of Galactus. That's the reason why he's not there. That's the reason why it seems like he doesn't care, is because he knows that Reed is going to think of a way to deal with that. So while Reed is playing with these littler things that are being quote-unquote threats to their Earth, he's out here trying to prevent a much larger catastrophe happening.
Right.
But he ends up sensing Franklin, comes back because he just teleports into their place, And in that moment, he has his mask off, and he's like, and he pretty much tells Franklin, like, "You see my scars? Would you like to touch them?" And maybe, Franklin, he's a kid. He's going to be curious, and he goes to touch the scars, and you see Doom's hand slightly with his arm, like he's guiding him, like it's okay. I'm right here with you. But whenever Franklin touches his face, he heals his face, and that's whenever Doom realizes, yes, there's a lot of power right here. He managed to heal my scars. So what else can he do?
Right.
And he's wanting to get more from Franklin, and we'll eventually see him do more whenever it comes to him taking off to the 616 universe, maybe, and grabbing Wanda's body and having Franklin bring her to life to get her power from her too somehow. I think that this is just the beginning of that.
So do we think that Doom is going to take off with Franklin right here?
I don't know if he'll just randomly take off with Franklin. I don't know how that's going to go down yet. Because I don't think he just randomly grabs Franklin with Sue right there. I think something has to happen. He has to make something happen in the background to distract Sue and to distract the family from him for a split second, enough to be able to maybe do a small spell to knock out Franklin and to take off with him. Because Sue's not just going to be Sue ain't just going to let Victor take off with Franklin, right?
Right.
I mean, who knows? I could be completely wrong. It could be that in that moment while he's reaching up and after he's healed his face, he still has his hand right there, but as soon as that happens, he just snatches him by the arm, pops open that teleport or whatever you want to call it, again, blocks whatever Sue's going to try to do, and leaves.
Right.
That could also completely be the thing. Who knows? But my main thing is that in that moment, he's healing Doctor Doom's face. Because
it makes sense.
Right, it makes sense because we're obviously you're not going to get RDJ the whole time with a scarred up face. I don't think you're going to have. I don't think you would have paid him that much not to be able to have a clear face and be able to show off his face. So that way he might be able to confuse someone like Spider-Man later on, right? Because if he had a scarred up face and tried to come up to Peter Parker, Parker might not take him serious as a Tony Stark yet. So, I mean, it's just one of those small things, that might play into it.
I've got a good rumor that has to do.
What's that?
With his face. So, I heard this earlier. What if, since Tony is such prominent figure in the MCU and at 616, he's the face of the savior. I mean, he's the savior technically, So what if Tony Stark? What if Robert Downey Jr. is playing Doom because Doom uses Tony Stark as an alias, like a disguise. Like, we don't see the true actor's face, but we see, because whenever he's using that, he's mainly in the mask. But what if the scenes where he's Robert Downey Jr. is because he's trying to use that face to coerce everybody in the MCU and coerce the people of Earth and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Maybe so. I mean, I have heard that, there is a chance that it's not actually, or Robert Downey Jr.'s Victor Von Doom isn't actually the main Victor Von Doom. I have heard that recently. Yeah, I mean, it's been a ongoing theory now for who knows how long.
Right.
That he's not actually the true Victor Von Doom. I mean, as far as fans not wanting that to be the case, and as far as, just other people in general, just saying, that there's the chance of we're getting the story of he somehow mind swaps or body swaps with
Tony
a
Stark.
variant of Tony Stark.
And that's the one thing he could say to those other people, like, because like instead of saying like, yeah, I didn't really die or something like that, he could say, I'm Tony from a different universe, and I'm here to help y'all. There's something coming or whatever, and whatever. It's like he could lie about something.
Yeah.
But my other theory, and it goes in correlation. Another spoiler: if you haven't seen Thunderbolts, What's Wrong with You? 2. This is a spoiler for the after credit scene. Whenever they see Fantastic Four's ship coming to Earth 616, right? That's why I asked, do you think that Doom gets away with Franklin in that scene? Because it could be. I mean, my first theory kind of got debunked as I sat here and I thought about it, because we've seen set photos of Doomsday of like John Walker and like Abon Moss Baccarat in the like ship, like you can see like the green screen behind them, but they're on the set of the ship. So my first theory was like it's Doom and Franklin, but that doesn't add up because the set photos. So what if Doom takes Franklin and Earth 616 is where they go so he can get Wanda's body or Sentry, because that's another theory I have. But what if, that's the Fantastic Four trying to come and get Franklin back? Like, you know what I mean? And,
Right. I think for some reason they will end up going. And who knows, it might be Loki that tells them in like some way, shape, or
sure.
form, hey, you guys need to. I know where he's going. I've seen him running around the multiverse. I know where he's going. This is what you need to do. You need to go to this universe, check there. I'm pretty sure he might be there. If not, get with these people, and then you guys form a group so that way you all can go and try to track him down and stop him from running the multiverse.
Right. I mean, so like my connection with Sentry, right? So in the comic books, when Doom's trying to get the power to become God Emperor Doom, and he gets Molecule Man and the Beyonder, right? And he
Yeah.
he pretty much takes their power from them, or like copies their power, something like that. And then we don't have the Beyonder or Molecule Man, so this ain't my full thing. I heard this on TikTok and it just makes a lot of sense to me. Is like, so we don't have neither of them, so we need replacements. So like one could be Wanda, because it's Wanda and she's arguably one of the most powerful people in the MCU, and she has manipulated the multiverse. So like, why wouldn't Doom want her help, right? And then also Sentry, because in the comic books, Sentry like copied Molecule Man's powers, because Molecule Man killed Sentry or something like that, but Sentry came back to life and like was able to like manipulate molecules and shit like that. So I mean,
my only issue with that is, well, there's two things. One is that I've heard that he's going to end up using Sentry to either somehow power a Doom ship, or just be able to be like the power to Battle World.
right.
Because for some reason, like, I think there was like a leaked art concept where you see Sentry being chained down to something or inside like some orb or something or another.
Right.
So I think that's what they're going to do with him, is use his power of having like the power of like a billion suns or whatever.
True.
To be able to power up different things that Doom wants power to.
Yeah.
Also, it doesn't make sense for him to, collect Sentry like in the way you're thinking. If he collects Franklin first, Franklin is super Omega OP'd already. And then he collects Wanda to, maybe have the dark magic too. I mean, right there, you don't really need Sentry whenever you
True.
take those two powers, you
And it would
know?
make and it would make, but it would make sense to use him as like a battery for something.
Right, yeah. I see him, that's how he's going to use Sentry, and I think we might get a scene where Sentry has been, or Bob, excuse me, has been left alone somewhere or something,
Yeah.
and he ends up talking to Bob as, let's say, Tony Stark, right? He tries to convince Sentry that he's Tony Stark, he's a good guy, whatever. And somehow, some way, Bob touches Victor Von Doom and ends up getting the information, like his background story, kind of,
Yeah.
on Victor Von Doom's uprising, like from childhood to where he becomes leader of Latveria, to where he's taken Franklin and is brought Wanda back to life. So he already knows his full story, and he sees all that and thinks, "No, you're not who you say you are. I
Right.
just seen who you said you are. You're not who you say you are." And
Well, think about how
because
like Thunderbolts they realize whenever Bob's in them, like they can, they're seeing
right,
shit too. So it's like maybe Doom can be like interesting, and like maybe
but
like
and
maybe you can be
well,
useful to me or something like that.
what I was thinking too is that Victor, instead of it haunting him too, like it did the Thunderbolts, he's fine and dandy with it. He's like, "No, you're right. I'm not who I say I am," but still manages to, like, maybe in that moment too, something triggers inside a Sentry or inside a Bob to bring out Sentry or to bring out the Void, one of the two. But he ends up being overpowered by Doom already because of him having the powers of Franklin and Wanda. He's able to overpower Sentry like it's nothing,
Right.
and he's still like, you're still gonna be useful to me. I'll find use for you," and manages to just grab him up somehow or knock him out too, and take him and enslave him to his ship, or to eventually be his power source for all of Battle World in Secret Wars.
Either way, the last two, the post credit scene for Thunderbolts, and the post credit scene we got for Fantastic Four is perfectly setting up Doomsday. And I know we got another a little bit over a year, but I'm so excited for this, man. And like it's good that Marvel is 3-0 this year for their movies, and I'm just glad that we're back on to roll. And I'm seriously glad that the shout out to both DC and Marvel this month, both getting banger movies out and bringing the excitement for superhero movies back again for everybody. You know what I mean? So proving that
Both
proving that superhero fatigue is false.
both are doing great things, and are starting to prove that they can tell great stories. It's just that they need to take time and not be rushed out.
Facts.
Um, and also, I think, as from what I've heard, the Russo brothers also were the ones to direct the mid-credit scene to the Fantastic Four, to make sure that Doom got included in.
Well, they also did the Thunderbolts because
Yeah,
they said
well,
that the
that
Thunderbolts.
was the connection I was making.
Yeah, like that they said that the Thunderbolts post credit scene was filmed on set of Doomsday. So, but that's the way I felt about the mid credit scene for Fantastic Four. It's like that's another reason why I said it's building it perfectly. Like it's like this taking snippets from Doomsday and putting it in as the after credit scenes, just giving us just little droplets, And honestly,
Just the little tidbits.
yeah. But now that we're done talking about the movie and the post credit scene, we got to compare the four movies, man. Now that we have them
Well,
all,
hold on. I wasn't done talking about the movie itself. I'm sorry.
so go ahead then.
There's one more thing that I want to get into, and it's just a theory, just about in the movie itself. Do you have any theories for the movie of itself? Like, is there any characters or anything that you're like, you know, this happened or we didn't get this, and here's what I'm thinking? Is there anything that you can think of?
I mean, not really. I mean, not that I could think of. No. Why do you?
Okay. I have one that I am itching at.
Okay.
Uh, it has to do with Galactus, believe it or not. I think that at the end, whenever they knock him into the portal, because they knock him apparently to the edge of the galaxies, right?
Right.
It doesn't necessarily say where he went.
Right.
And, you know, they were talking about how they would put Earth into a different solar system completely, right?
Right.
What if they knocked him into a different galaxy?
I mean, yeah, that'd be my guess.
What if they knocked him into 616? That's what I'm thinking. Is that's we're not done with Galactus yet. They just knocked him into 616. He's without his ship right now, right?
Right.
But due to his powers, and we didn't fully see his powers on whenever he was on screen. This motherfucker can become super large, right?
Yeah.
And I could see it being where he gets knocked out into space. And sure, at first he might be a little bit shocked from it, right? But he knows how to come back too,
Right.
because this ain't his first rodeo. Because he had to at some point or another build his ship, right?
Yeah.
And even before he built his ship, he would have had to been able to devour planets somehow. So, my theory is that he is out there being able to grow to a lot larger size, right? And he's having to revert back to his old ways of eating planets, which is fully actually grabbing them up or just going through them and devouring them, and actually like eating them more so like he's eating them raw.
Right, and
Right.
not like the planet, like taking it in and powering him up.
Right. Like whenever, and don't get me wrong, I mean, even in the comics, we see that he uses a ship to help him devour the planets.
Right.
But there's also been art of him just being able to devour the planets.
Yeah.
And even in like What If, we see the Vision that becomes the bad Vision or whatever you want to call him,
Yeah.
where he ends up becoming the size of Galactus and just takes a fucking bite out of the galaxy. That's essentially what I think we're going to get with Galactus, is that he's going to revert back to his old ways of devouring planets, as to where he's just eating it raw instead of being ciphered through and cooked into lava
Yeah.
to be fed into him. He's going to revert back to his old ways, but he's still in the 616 now. That's what I think.
I mean, it would make
happened.
it would make sense because Galactus is the only person who doesn't have a multiversal version of him. You know, well, and Franklin, I believe, right?
As far as I know, it's him, Franklin, and going off of the 616. I can't think of her name in Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness.
Oh, it's, Claire or something like that, like Charlize
No.
Theron's character. Oh no, American Chavez. American
no.
Chavez.
Yeah, American Chavez.
Yeah, American Chavez.
She's another one that there's only one of her across the multiverse.
Right. So that would make sense.
So whenever they pushed him away, they just pushed him into the next universe, that being the 616 universe. And I think that's how we can eventually get to the Nornrad Silver Surfer, and maybe even more than one Herald, because he needs someone to help him build his second ship.
Yeah.
Because I believe even in the comics, he forms a ship I can't think of what it's called, but it has 2 at the end of it. So
Yeah.
maybe in this movie we seen his first iteration of his ship. So what happened? He don't have his ship no more, and maybe in those 4 years, Reed has held on to it to study it out in space.
Yeah.
So because he said it'd take like 10 years to figure out anything about this Galactus
Right.
because of how advanced he already was. So maybe since he can't get to his old ship no more, and maybe he even had a device in his suit so that way he knew that if he got separated, he could get back to it again.
Right.
But maybe he lets Reed have that one so that way he can already develop his second ship
Yeah.
to
Good.
continue his devouring of galaxies.
It could. All right.
Sorry, that's my only other theory for any characters.
Oh, you're good. And my bad for forgetting. I remember you saying that you wanted to say something. I just forgot.
No, you're good.
All right. So
I mean, I got other slight theories too that have to do with Johnny or what I'd like to see, but we can save that for afterwards.
So, compared to the other 4 movies, well, the other 3 movies, where would you rank First Steps? Well, no. Well, but before you say that, how you say that, let's just rank them. Let's just rank them because I think it's pretty obvious. So let's just rank the movies.
Okay. Do you want me to go first or you go first?
You go first. I feel like we have the same ranking, but go ahead.
Okay, so obviously I'm not even going to include the old movie because it technically never got released. So that one's going to obviously set in 4th place.
Yeah, for sure.
After that, I'm going to set the one, I think, was that 2015 whenever it came out?
Yep. The one with Michael B.
I'm
Jordan.
going to set that one in 3rd.
Yep.
And then I'm going to split in second and a half the 2 older the original Fantastic Four movies that we seen back in 05 and I think 2007
Yeah, it's 7.
or 8.
It's 7.
For some reason, I thought it was 2008 because I thought it was like right after Iron Man.
No.
Oh, that was, I think, just the Hulk, wasn't it? 2008 with
Incredible
Iron
Hulk.
Man and Hulk.
Yeah.
So that's going to be second, and obviously in first place is First Steps.
Yeah, it's. Well, I mean, it's easy to say that this is the, superior version of the Fantastic Four that we've ever got. And, they're so perfectly done comic book wise. And honestly, that's another thing about this movie. And it's like the same way I felt about Superman. It's like it just felt like we was watching a comic book story right there in front of our eyes. Like it was like we were reading the pages, but, it was a film.
Right. And like if I compare it to any of them, so like the 2015 one. 2015 one was a sloppy mess.
Yeah.
Like behind the scenes in the movie, the whole thing was sloppy. Take it, I get it. They was trying to go for this serious tone the whole time, like a Man of Steel movie, but it just didn't fucking work.
No.
And it didn't help that you had the Thing naked the whole time.
No.
I'm just throwing that out there, and like, can I also throw out, because I know that we are a show that throws out some adult shit. If you're gonna have him butterball naked and the Thing is a male, where's his pecker at?
Facts. Because, I mean, we know he's got to be packing. Hell, look at the original, the 05 and the 07 movies. You know he was putting Kerry Washington in a blender, brother.
I mean, where's it at? I mean, it's not. I mean, unless you're going to sit here and tell me that that's what the little nub-looking thing is, I'm going to call your bluff. Because he's not a fucking animal. Only animals are ever known to just have a little nub before their thing comes. Their, pun intended, their thing comes out. But Thing's thing ain't just going to be. That don't make sense to me. Make it make sense.
Right.
Sorry, I just have to throw that out there with them. So
I mean,
that's,
understandable though.
like I said, that's the mess of that whole movie. The 2015 movie was a whole mess.
Oh yeah.
Now, comparing it to the 2005/2007, those for their time were a pretty good movie, especially whenever I was a kid,
Oh yeah.
because
Those
it
were a big
had
part of my
that.
childhood.
It was on the same level to me as a child, at least, as Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. No, for sure. I agree.
Now, not to knock on it neither, but it's also funny that the second Fantastic Four movie and the third Spider-Man film both had cringy dance scenes.
Yeah. True.
Like it's like, was that a thing during that time? So, I mean, that took away from it slightly. But again, it was the bigger things for back then. Obviously, the '07 one was how Galactus was a fucking cloud.
Yeah.
I don't know who said that's how you need to do Galactus. I don't know who approved it. Like, I'm curious if it was like, okay, well, we spent all of our budget on all these other things and bring back Doctor Doom. So we need to figure out a cheaper way to have a CGI'd Galactus. And so we're just going to do a cloud.
Yeah.
And I would have also loved to have been in that room, because you know good and well Kevin Feige was in that room because he's listed as one of the producers on those movies.
Yeah.
You know good and well he had to have been fuming that that's what they went with.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, I get it. He wasn't in charge yet, but you know that was his starting point of, okay, y'all have screwed up with these a villain like this. If I was in charge, this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
You know? But so that was one bad thing from those movies. Another one was how they portrayed Doctor Doom. Take it, the suit looked good, but him just having like a electrical,
Yeah.
like his powers come from electricity and like magnetizing things,
Yeah. That was weird.
is a head scratcher, because we know that's not his powers.
Right.
And going back and watching it as of recent too, the story felt rushed and felt a little sloppy at times. Like, you could tell it just seemed too rushed. Like, we cut certain things so quickly. Even like with Rise of Silver Surfer, we don't get a backstory to Norrin Rad
Right.
at all. He's just there. He just appears to Earth and travels so quickly that he can change the weather everywhere. That also made me scratch my head a little bit. I don't know if it's because he actually can do that from traveling so fast, but you know, anything I've ever seen going amok Jesus doesn't change the weather.
Right.
It just causes a lot of fucking wind.
Yeah.
So, you know, I would get it if whenever he's coming through certain areas, let's say whenever he comes across the ocean, with how much power he has, it would make more sense if giant tsunami-sized waves came with him.
Right. That's true.
That would also blend in more so with the Silver Surfer aspect of it, like how in First Steps you have Shia LaBeouf surfing on these different forms of like lava rocks, you know, wormhole type ordeal.
Right.
You see her surfing, so it could have made more sense if you would have had this Norrin Rad for back then. He comes in, but behind him, and it makes it almost look like he's surfing on them, giant tsunami waves to cause destruction as he comes in, so that way you feel his power as well.
Right.
So that's a complaint, is storytelling and that whole ordeal. And also, I don't know if it was just due to like a certain timing or whatever, but the amount of times between the first and second movie, they wanted Jessica Alba to be naked.
True.
I mean, now take it. It wasn't like the whole movie was based around that, but like there was so many times where it's like, well, the only way you're going to be able to get to a certain spot or to get out of this situation is if you get naked.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden her powers turn off and she's naked in front of people. You know, it's like, man, was y'all just horned up during this filming or something and said, hey, you know what would be really good right here is if we get her to for some reason be naked. You know?
And I'm glad that they didn't have to incorporate something like that in the first steps.
Right, but even for back then, all right, whenever she turns invisible and her clothes don't turn invisible with her,
Right.
it's like, why not make her clothes turn invisible? Because you would think whatever's around her, like that's a part of her body at the time, should all be able to turn invisible, not just
Yeah.
her, not just her, but include her clothes too. You know.
Yeah.
But that was another one of those things that's like, man, and I get it. It's Jessica Alba. She was fine. She's a fine lady, right? Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, it's like you did it in the first movie, and you managed to sneak it into the second one too. Like the only difference was you had her catch fire. So all of a sudden, whenever she catches fire, of course, her normal clothes aren't fire retardant. So, of course, whenever she manages to lose those powers, guess what, fellas? She's naked again. You know, it's super unnecessary. The only time the eye candy thing should be able to work is like whenever they show off the suits for the first time, you know,
Yeah.
and she shows a little bit of cleavage. That's fine. But whenever you have her that happen, it was just like, yeah, but was that necessary? You know?
Right.
And was it necessary to make her lose her power then? It's like she could only hold her powers for X amount of seconds. But I will say, too, the one plus side that those older movies did was show the characters using their powers in day-to-day things.
Yeah.
Like Reed being on the toilet and stretching across so that way he could go be able to grab toilet paper without having to leave.
Right.
Obviously, if you had those type of powers and that you knew where the toilet paper was at and it wasn't in the bathroom, you're going to do the same thing, right? And even though I just knocked on it, whenever Reed almost walks in on Sue whenever she gets out of the shower, he starts to walk in, but she's in there. She's, guess what, naked but wrapped in a towel. She turns invisible right there on the spot. And even like in the second movie, whenever she's about to get married, she turns a zit invisible, just so that way she don't have any blemishes on her wedding day.
Right.
Like just seeing them use their powers for day-to-day things was also a kind of cool thing, you know?
Yeah.
But like I said, it just certain things and including writing was sloppy, so it just didn't land as well.
Right. But I have the same ranking as you. I mean, it's an easy ranking to do, really. But yeah, I mean, I have nothing else to say about the movie. Again, pun intended. It was fantastic. It was what it needed to be. It's what I hoped. It was more than I hoped it would be. And I'm just happy that we're on a good roll, and I'm excited for Doomsday.
Right, and I gotta say, I am looking forward to, and I know from what I've heard in interviews that they are more than likely going to team up Johnny and Spider-Man
Oh, for sure.
together, and that's going to be great. But I would love to see the Human Torch, Deadpool, and Spider-Man all together.
That'd be hilarious.
You want to talk about a hilarious time? Put those three together, and you will have something magical.
For sure.
So that's something I hope to during this Doomsday and Secret Wars, and maybe even further on down the line, we could get into is seeing those three interact and have something to do together.
All right. Is there anything else you need to say about the movie or anything?
Well, let me ask you this because I've heard this debate going around.
Okay.
Do you want them to keep the title of it being Avengers Doomsday? Or would you rather it be Fantastic Four Doomsday?
I'd rather it be Avengers Doomsday.
You'd still keep it Avengers Doomsday.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I would too. I think
I can understand. I can understand where you're coming from with the Fantastic Four Doomsday because it's like it could be like how the Captain America Civil War was, and like
right. I mean it,
but yeah.
and it could be a better build up to a story to where they need help, so they go to the Avengers eventually, right?
Right.
But at the same time,
But
yeah, I like where we're at.
the way they've built it, like how at the end of Captain America, how he was like when he made Falcon, the new Falcon, an Avenger, and how in Thunderbolts we got the whole new Avengers and Avengers thing going on and all that. It's like they're building it to make it feel like an Avengers movie. So I feel like it should just stay as an Avengers movie.
Yeah. All right. So, other than that question, my only other thing is on a scale of 1 to 5 stars, where would you rate this movie?
I gave it a 4 stars.
A 4 stars. Wow.
Well, more like 4.5, but there's just like this some of the technical stuff. Well,
Right.
Well, a part of my star is like not the whole not getting a lot of Ben, and I felt like the clobbering time was a little bit anticlimactic. That was the main part of the half a star, but the other half a star is just like the technical parts, like the CGI baby and like stuff that could have been polished, but it's nothing like super serious.
Right.
So that's why I gave it 4 stars.
Well, I'll tell you because you know me, I try to keep up with the movies I see as of recent on Rotten Tomatoes and put out my ranking out of 5 stars. And I also gave it a 4.5 stars. Like I said, I mean it was really close to being a 5 star.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But at the same time, I don't know whether or not it was that I didn't have more of certain scenes, and also due to having some CGI, it's like, can you explain that better as to why it was rough right there? But I mean, just due to a few things here and there where CGI felt a little bit more like a hiccup of an issue. And some scenes where it was like, okay, yeah, you definitely feel like you're on a set right there.
Right.
I think that's what kind of backed me down to a 4.5 star. But other than that, I mean, it's definitely a great movie. Definitely would recommend to anyone that asks what I think about it. Definitely go watch it. And if you for some reason decide to listen to this before watching it, bless your heart. You should have went and watched it first because we didn't do it justice enough. All we did was glaze it for y'all and explain a few things here and there that happened.
Yeah.
Go watch the movie, experience something great, and because I mean it truly is. It's great. It's a fantastic movie overall.
For sure.
And I wouldn't have had a Fantastic Four movie any other way for their first movie.
No, I wouldn't have either. All right.
Other than that, I think that's about it.
All right, word. All right, guys. Like we say all the time, thank you for making it this far into the video. If you did, if you're watching this live, again, thank you for making it this long. We always say like, subscribe, comment, find somebody's phone to subscribe for us. They won't figure it out. They don't really care about their subscriptions, so just subscribe. But any other way, if that's it, that's it for me. You got anything else to say, Rich?
That's all we got, folks.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next.